I thought that you were worth saving. I had my head above the clouds when we met. I knew one day you would hate me. Now my heart is cold and filled with regret.
All right, so here we have Perfect Room from Denise Audio or Denise.io. You can check it out over here. They set out to make a different kind of reverb using a different kind of an algorithm to help make things more natural, also creative, and zero metallic resonance there as well. So let's go ahead and check it out here. It has a lot of features built in here. So let's start here on the top. So we have basically three different spaces: natural, triangle, and square. Triangle and square, in my opinion, are a little more creative. We've already heard it on natural. Let's go ahead and hear it again, I guess.
I thought that you were worth saving.
All right, sounds good. If I put that on triangle, listen to the sort of decay there, the tail.
I thought that you were worth saving. I had my...
Right, much different there. Same thing for square as well. Then we also have, put this back on natural. We also have bright XL, dark, and dark XL for different sort of flavors as well. If I put this down to dark XL, let's listen to this.
I thought that you were worth saving.
Much lower, right?
I had my head above
we can see that down here
too.
Put it up here on
I
bright.
knew one day you would hate me. Now my heart is cold and filled with regret.
All right, so of course you can build the perfect room. I like flat for this here. Now we have flip and split, and flip is going to basically reverse that effect of the reverb, which we'll hear it straight up here.
Now my heart is cold and filled with regret.
Now let me flip it around.
Now my heart is cold and filled with regret.
So that's pretty cool, right? To have that built in like that. Turn that off. Now we have split. Let's come up here. And with split, we can basically sort of pull that effect down to more of a mono or widen it way out with our width. So we'll go ahead and play back here.
You thought that you would use me, but love is so confusing. When I fell, you didn't even try to pick me up. You thought I wouldn't leave.
Right, so it's much more focused and down the middle now. Or we can, of course, widen that way out.
You thought that you would use me, but love is so confusing.
All right, then we have shimmer, which is pretty cool. Just click this down arrow here. We can adjust the amount just by sliding right here. So the shimmer on the source, let me pull these off for now so we can actually hear the shimmer on the source. I'm going to pull it up.
You thought that you would use me, but love is so confusing. When I fell, you didn't even try to pick me up.
Right? It's more shimmery, of course. Then we have these more, what I consider more creative options of our low octave and our high octave. And this actually gets pretty cool. So I'll pull in the low octave here.
You thought that you would use me, but love is so confusing. When I fell, you didn't even try.
Right? So it's almost like a harmony that's a octave or so lower, which is pretty cool. Same thing for our high octave. We can get sort of that chipmunky or even like a future bass sound by pulling this up here.
You thought that you would use me, but love is so confusing. When I fell, you didn't even try to pick me up. You thought I wouldn't leave. How could you be so naive?
Of course, you can dial that amount in just by pulling this up or down for the overall slider. So of course that's way too much for this, but I do like a bit of that high octave in there and a tiny bit of that low octave. It thickens it out just a little bit with this shimmer on.
You thought that you would use me.
Then pull down the amount.
Love is so confusing. When I fell, you didn't even try to pick.
Now I can turn it off just by clicking right there. That turns the whole thing off.
You thought that you would use me, but love is so confusing. When I fell, you
it fills it out a little bit more with that low octave and gives a cool effect with a bit of that high octave and pull it in just a tiny bit in this case here, but you can get really creative with this as well. So let's head over here to Detune. Now, same thing, the overall amount right there. Then we have things like wow, shake, and speed. It's kind of like a modulation here. We'll go ahead and pull it way up so you can really hear it.
You thought I wouldn't leave. How could you be so naive? You chased your heart, ignored the signs painted above. I just wanna be left alone.
So I kind of like a little bit in there because that modulation just sort of moves it around. But again, just like the shimmer, I don't want to overdo it. I just want to put a tiny bit in there at a pretty slow speed in this case, just to give it some movement and life, right?
You thought I wouldn't leave. How could you be so naive? You chased your heart, ignored the signs painted above. I just wanna be left alone.
Pretty cool. Then we have a ducker built in, which gets really cool. It's always great to have a ducker built into a reverb or to a delay. And what a ducker does, for those who don't know, it's basically like a compressor just for the effect, or like sidechain compression, if you want to think of it that way. So we have all of the normal controls that you would find on something like a compressor, right? So right now, let me just pull it completely out, all right? Close that down. So we'll see what we're at right here. Let me pull up my mix just to really show this here.
You thought I wouldn't leave. How could you be so naive?
So that's without any ducking at all. Let's go ahead and pull our ducking in now.
You thought I wouldn't leave. How could you be so naive?
So during the parts while she's singing, it ducks down the reverb, which is why it's called ducking. It ducks it down or compresses that effect down, so we still get the clarity of the source, in this case a vocal, and then in those spaces where she's not singing, it blooms on, right? So it's ducking down now, blooms up, right? You hear how it blooms up there? Now, again, if this wasn't on, let's just turn it completely off.
Just wanna be left alone. Just wanna be left alone.
I don't like that. Now, of course, we could come in here and try to, automate our mix.
Just wanna be left alone.
Pull it up.
Just wanna be left alone.
Pull it up, right? So that is what our ducker is doing, essentially, is automating our mix for us based on, again, essentially, not exactly, but essentially, based on our threshold and our hold times and our ratio, okay? So it's great to have that built in.
My heart is a cyclone.
Awesome. Love having that ducker built in here. All right, then we have input and output. That's self-explanatory, of course, with any effect. As we pull this mix up, in this case with the reverb, the overall amount is going to go down a bit, the overall amount of the output. So I compensate here on that output right there. You can, of course, compensate on the input as well. We have a delay, so basically kind of like a pre-delay. When do you want that reverb to come on? Do you want it to come on instantly, or do you want that transient to hit first and then have it bloom on just a little bit after that? In this case, you're not going to hear a huge difference, but unless I pull it way up. So we'll pull it way up here in this case, and we'll pull my ducker down a bit.
I feel it in my bones. Feel it in my bones. My heart is a cyclone.
So that might be kind of cool if you want to do something creative like that. But in general, in this case, I just want to have sort of that initial transient hit, that clarity, and then the reverb. That comes more into play with things like drums as well. Then our tail, again, pretty self-explanatory if you know anything about reverb. How long do you want the tail? So we can pull it way up there. And with this ducker down, it's going to get pretty crazy here.
You chased your heart, ignored the signs painted above. I just wanna be left alone. Just wanna be left alone.
Versus a much shorter tail.
Just wanna be left alone.
So of course, just dial that into to taste. All right, then we have our high pass filter and our low pass filter, and that basically lets us again shape our room to where do we want those reflections focused around. Now look up here on our graphic here that we have. And cut out the low end, as you can see.
Feel it in my bones.
Or pull it in.
My heart is a cyclone.
Then the low pass, which of course lets the lows pass and cuts out the highs. So if I want more shimmer up top, maybe just pull that all the way down, and you're going to get more top end on those reflections now.
You thought I wouldn't leave. How could you be so naive? You chased your...
If I want to focus that more around the mid-range, so it's not quite so harsh on that reverb, I'm going to pull this down actually here.
You chased your heart, ignored the signs painted above. I just wanna be left alone.
So I just want it in the mid-range. I can do that. Maybe I just want the low end, right, to have reverb on it. I can do that.
You chased your heart, ignored the signs painted
you can see there.
above.
Or maybe just the high end. So let's cut out the low end. Pull this up here.
You chased your heart, ignored the signs painted above. I just wanna be left alone.
All right, so a ton of things you can do with this reverb here. Let me pull it back down to something that fits this vocal better. That's pretty good.
You chased your heart, ignored the signs painted above. I just wanna be left alone. Just wanna be left alone.
Cool. All right, so that's basically all of the controls here. We also have presets in here that you can check out as well. So now that we know how it works, let's check it out on a few other sources. We're gonna come up here now, and I think we got a piano right here. And right now, this is on sort of a creative sort of setting, just so you can hear some of the creative things that you could do with this, not just straight up reverb, but again, more of like a sound design style effects. If that wasn't on, I just bypass it. It's just a straight up piano, right? So get kind of creative with it here. Pretty cool. Bypass that. Let's go ahead and check out something else here. I think we got some strings right here. Put it on solo. Fades out nice room there. If I bypass it, the strings already sound good. Right. There is a bit of decay on strings just because of the nature of the strings, but once we have it in this room, it all kind of comes together a little bit better. And right now I have this on the dark setting for these strings because again, it sort of just ties everything together a little bit better. All right, cool. Let's check it out on what we have here. I think we have some Massive X or a synth on this right here. And again, more of a creative effect right here. So without it turned on, we have this here. And we're going to use Perfect Room for more of a sound design here. We've completely changed the nature of that sound. We have it on the triangle and dark XL. Have kind of a pad sound. Bypass that. We have it flipped right here, split on, very wide. As you can see, a lot of shimmer, a lot of that low octave and high octave coming in there as well. And a little bit on that ducking as well, again, to get more of that creative effect. But of course, you can use straight up reverb sounds with this as well. Down here, we have snare kicking some cymbals. So let's go ahead and hear it on just snare. Now I do have a bit of a ducker on this snare, just so again, that initial transient comes through. Have a bit of delay on it as well, but this ducker ducks down that signal a little bit after that transient, and then it blooms on, which is kind kind of a cool sound. You may not want it, but right. A little bit on that ducking though. Sounds kind of cool, I think. And over here on the shimmer, I have some of that low octave pulled in and high octave pulled in because it fills out that low end a little bit more and gives a bit of a shimmer on top with that high octave. You can turn it off here too. Back on. Right, kind of a cool sound. You may or may not like that, but it's cool to have the option in here in Perfect Room to do that. Now, if this was bypassed, just a dry snare, right? So again, Perfect Room back on, have our room all dialed in. Much better. Okay, so that is Perfect Room. You can check it out over here at denise.io. Of course, this link will be in the description below, and they already have a full walkthrough video of it on their website as well. So head over here, check it out, buy it if you want. It's actually not even that expensive. What is it? $32 US right now anyway. So check it out if you want. Again, link will be in the description below. But that is Perfect Room.
You thought I wouldn't leave. How could you be so naive? You chased your heart, ignored the signs painted above. I just wanna be left alone. Just wanna be left alone.